Hey folks, sorry for not uploading any videos for the past few months. It's been a pretty busy quarter, but as it starts to wrap up, I thought it'd be a pretty good idea to make a video talking about all the research I've been doing. If you didn't know, my research is in experimental cosmology, specifically instrumentation. Instrumentation is the development of technologies necessary to do the science that you want to do. And this can range from building detectors to look at light that you want to look at, or making the optics design for a telescope you're working on, or fabricating the readout hardware that's going to take the signal from your detectors and transfer it into something that is more readable to humans. Now, in astronomy and astrophysics, what instrumentation actually looks like on a day-to-day basis varies very much on what wavelength you're working in. As you might have learned in your elementary or middle school, light is on a spectrum. The part of the spectrum that we can see is known as the visible part of the spectrum, but can be wavelengths of light that are higher in energy and lower in energy. Now, on the lower side, we have radio waves, we have microwaves, we have infrared, and then we have the visible spectrum. Higher than the visible spectrum, we have ultraviolet, we have X-ray, and we have gamma ray. Now, a few of these terms you might have heard of, like microwave and radio. Those are the wavelengths in which those devices that you know operate in. And ultraviolet light is that really harmful radiation that you protect yourself against with sunscreen. Because light is a spectrum and has many types of wavelengths, trying to build a radio telescope is going to be completely different than trying to build an X-ray telescope. Personally, I work on instrumentation for the South Pole Telescope, which is located in, you guessed it, the South Pole. And the South Pole Telescope is a telescope that looks at light from the cosmic microwave background, or the CMB, which is the leftover radiation from the Big Bang and some of the oldest light that we can see in our universe. As you may have guessed, analyzing this light can tell us a lot about the origins of the universe, the formation of large structures in our universe, and also the evolution of early galaxies. Now, what I just said is only a small snapshot of the capabilities of this impressive telescope, and if I sat here trying to explain to you everything that it can do, I would be here all day. The cosmic microwave background, as the name suggests, emits light in the microwave, which has wavelengths in the length scale of millimeter, which means that the instrumentation that I work on, the actual subcategory, is millimeter wave cosmology instrumentation, which is quite a mouthful. What does that actually mean? For the rest of the video, I will be talking about what my research in this field looks like, which is only a small sample of what the field actually looks like. And I plan to make a video in the future talking with some of the other people who do some of the other aspects in this field to see kind of what their perspective is. As I mentioned earlier, I work on an experiment that looks at millimeter wavelength light from the cosmic microwave background. Now, something you might have learned in your high school physics classes is that light carries energy, and temperature is a way of measuring this energy. The light from the cosmic microwave background that we want to look at has such low energy that if I put a normal detector in this kind of environment, it would not see anything at all. That's because the light and the temperature in this environment is so much greater than the energy that we want to look at that it completely overpowers it. How do we get around something like this? We build a fridge. To put things into context, the temperature of the cosmic microwave background in the millimeter wavelength range is around 2.7 Kelvin, which corresponds to negative 455 degrees Fahrenheit, which means if we want to detect this light, we need to build an environment that is colder than this temperature. And that's what a cryostat is. It's a fancy fridge that can get down to typically under 1 Kelvin so we can detect this light. Now, besides getting down and creating this cold environment, it also has various elements to focus the light and also filter out the light we don't want to capture. Now, what I've been working on is the design of the cryostat for the next camera of the South Pole Telescope called SPT-3G+. Designing a cryostat is not a trivial task because it requires the teamwork of nearly everybody on the project, because every component of the project goes inside the cryostat besides the mirrors that focus the light into the cryostat. Cryostats are what I've worked on in my undergrad for a different project called the terahertz intensity mapper. So it's familiar territory, but designing a whole thing nearly from scratch as a first year has definitely been a daunting task. This is an older version of the cryostat from the South Pole Telescope that was brought back, and I am currently using it to help test different components of the cryostat that I'm designing. I really enjoy cryostats because the part of my engineering degrees that I really resonated with were always the courses that were about heat transfer, thermodynamics, and materials. And building a cryostat harnesses all of those ideas.
It's an amazing dance between material selection, designing, heat, and light, constantly allowing me to use what I know while learning new ideas along the way.
One of the main reasons I chose to come to Chicago for my PhD, besides the reputable cosmology program, was the Pritzker nanofabrication facility.
It is here where we can quickly fabricate, test, and iterate through a newer type of detector called a microwave kinetic inductance detector. I intend to make a video explaining how these detectors work, so watch out for that if you're interested. Besides working on cryostats, I'm also interested in how we can make these detectors better, which would ultimately lead to being able to do better science.
Instrumentation is great, but the reason we do what we do is for the science. Everyone in this department is interested in such a variety of different science topics, from exoplanets and dark energy, and the science that I'm interested in specifically is neutrino cosmology. That is, the impact that neutrinos have on large-scale structure formation and how we can use cosmology to constrain the parameters of neutrinos, such as their mass. That was a quick look into the research that I've been working on here at the University of Chicago as part of the astronomy and astrophysics program. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or anything like that, leave a comment below. And again, thank you for watching.